Imagine for a moment that the history you know is not the entire story. There are hidden truths, coded messages in Jesus' words that have been overlooked, misunderstood, or even deliberately concealed over the centuries. What if I told you that Jesus' true message was not just about faith, but about a deeper knowledge, a wisdom that unveils the secrets of the universe and the human soul? Today, we're going to delve into the secret teachings of Jesus, those mentioned in apocryphal gospels, Gnostic texts, and ancient mystical traditions. The most astonishing part is that once we grasp these messages, our entire perception of reality transforms. By the end of this journey, we will reveal the most profound teaching of all, a truth capable of changing your life in ways you never imagined. Since ancient times, the figure of Jesus has been linked to love, compassion, and sacrifice. Yet behind his words lies a far broader wisdom, a message that transcends conventional doctrine. In various spiritual traditions, Jesus is seen not only as a moral teacher, but also as an enlightened being, a knower of the great mysteries of existence and the cosmos. His teachings hold keys that philosophers, mystics, and truth-seekers have studied for centuries. To understand these hidden teachings, we must first ask why some texts about Jesus were excluded from the canonical Gospels. In the early years of Christianity, many writings circulated among Jesus' followers, some containing ideas that challenged power structures and offered a vision aligned more with self-knowledge and inner freedom. Over time, certain groups in power decided what should be accepted and what should be forgotten. One of the most striking documents in this regard is the Gospel of Thomas, a text filled with sayings attributed to Jesus, but carrying a philosophical and spiritual depth, unlike the traditional Gospels. In this Gospel, Jesus speaks not only about faith, but about self-discovery. One of its most revealing sayings is, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not have will destroy you." What does this teaching truly mean? Jesus is telling us that inside each of us exists sacred knowledge, a divine spark that, if found and nurtured, will lead to true freedom. But if we ignore this inner potential, letting our lives be governed solely by external forces, imposed beliefs, or fear, we condemn ourselves to a life of suffering and ignorance. This message resonates deeply with teachings from other esoteric traditions. In Hermetic philosophy, it is said, "As above, so below, as within, so without." This reminds us that the path to truth is not outside of us, but within. Jesus taught his disciples that the kingdom of God is not a distant place in the heavens, but a reality accessible here and now for those who seek it with a sincere heart. Another fundamental aspect of Jesus' hidden teachings is his emphasis on transcending the ego. Throughout his life, Jesus spoke in parables, many aimed at dismantling the illusion of identity based on the ego. In the Gospel of Luke, there is a powerful statement: "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." This is not simply an invitation to physical sacrifice, as some have interpreted, but a profound teaching about the need to transcend identification with the superficial self, its labels, possessions, and worldly illusions. Jesus tells us that only when we let go of that false identity can we access our true self, the Christ consciousness that dwells within each of us. The Gnostics, an early group of Christians persecuted for their beliefs, understood this message well. For them, gnosis, knowledge, was the key to salvation. They believed Jesus came not only to redeem humanity, but to awaken the divine spark within each person that connects them to the supreme source. According to Gnostic texts, Jesus taught secret knowledge privately to his closest disciples, knowledge not revealed to the general public because only those spiritually prepared could understand it. But if this knowledge was so powerful, why was it suppressed? The answer is simple. A human being who understands their true nature and accesses inner knowledge cannot be controlled. Both religious and political power structures have always aimed to keep humanity within certain limits of thought. Jesus, with his message of spiritual freedom, represented a threat to these systems. Now ask yourself, do you really believe that Jesus' message is limited to what we have traditionally been taught? Or is there something deeper, something hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those willing to seek the truth? In the next part of this journey, we will explore an even more astonishing mystery: the connection between Jesus' teachings and ancient schools of wisdom, from the Essenes to Eastern masters. Because the truth he taught was not exclusive to a single people, but a universal knowledge available to anyone who desires to understand the real meaning of his message. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts so far, and get ready. What's coming next could forever change how you see Jesus and his mission on earth. To truly understand Jesus' hidden teachings, we must explore his link to ancient wisdom traditions. Most people know him through conventional biblical stories, but what is rarely mentioned is that Jesus did not emerge from a spiritual vacuum. His message had deep roots in ancient mystical currents, such as the teachings of the Essenes, Egyptian knowledge, and Eastern wisdom. The Essenes were a community of mystics living in seclusion near the Dead Sea, practicing a lifestyle centered on purity, meditation, and self-awareness. It is well known that John the Baptist, who prepared the way for Jesus, had strong ties to this group. The Essenes believed in spiritual enlightenment through discipline and connection to the inner divinity, a concept that resonates deeply with Jesus' words when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." But Jesus' influence did not stop there. Some scholars suggest that during his youth, Jesus may have traveled to distant lands, learning from other spiritual traditions. In India, ancient manuscripts speak of a master called Isa, whom many believe was Jesus. According to these texts, Isa spent years among Buddhist monks, absorbing teachings about compassion, meditation, and the illusory nature of the material world. Here is where everything starts to come together. Jesus did not only teach love and faith, but also spoke about detachment from the material world and the importance of awakening inner consciousness. This idea closely mirrors Buddhist teachings, which, centuries earlier, had already addressed the illusion of ego and the need to transcend suffering through enlightenment. But there's more. In ancient Egypt, Hermetic wisdom taught that everything in the universe is mind, that external reality is merely a reflection of our inner consciousness. Jesus expressed this same idea differently when he said, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." This is not merely blind faith, but a deep understanding that our mind and spirit have the power to manifest reality. This brings us to a crucial teaching, one interpreted in many ways, because it can only be truly grasped by those seeking beyond the surface. Jesus spoke in parables, many of which hid profound truths that only those with eyes to see and ears to hear could understand. Take, for example, the parable of the sower, in which Jesus describes a man scattering seeds. Some fall on fertile ground and bear fruit, while others fall on rocky ground and fail to grow. At first glance, it may seem like a simple metaphor about faith. But if we look deeper, we realize Jesus is speaking about the power of consciousness. The seeds symbolize knowledge, and the soil represents our mind. If our mind is closed, knowledge cannot take root. But if we open ourselves to truth, that knowledge will blossom and transform us. What about the famous phrase, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you"? This isn't merely an invitation to prayer, but a code for the pursuit of truth. Jesus is telling us that knowledge won't be handed to us passively. We must actively seek it with determination and a sincere desire to understand. However, not everyone is ready to receive this knowledge. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says something unsettling. "Do not give what is holy to dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you." What does this mean? Jesus wasn't belittling people. He was warning that sacred knowledge can only be understood by those prepared to receive it. Trying to reveal these truths to the unready only causes rejection and confusion. This brings us to a crucial point. Throughout history, great spiritual teachers have been persecuted, misunderstood, and even silenced. Jesus was no exception. His message was revolutionary because it taught that true power lies not in religious institutions, but within each person. He did not come to establish a new religion, but to awaken humanity to its true nature. What happens when a message of this magnitude enters the world? It challenges existing power structures. It's no coincidence that Jesus was condemned by the religious and political authorities of his time. He was not just another preacher. He was revealing knowledge that could free people from manipulation and fear. Now consider this. How many times throughout history has the truth been suppressed? How many texts have been censored? How many teachers silenced? Yet truth always finds a way to emerge. Here is where everything makes sense. Jesus taught that true awakening doesn't come from outside, but from within. It's not about blindly following dogmas or imposed traditions, but about seeking truth for oneself. In the next section, we will explore Jesus' most powerful teaching, a truth so profound it has been misunderstood and hidden for centuries. If you truly want to discover the ultimate secret that can transform your life, stay with me until the end, because what's coming is the most revealing of all. Tell me in the comments what you think so far, and if you want me to continue exploring these hidden mysteries. If we closely examine Jesus' words, we find his message holds an even deeper teaching. one that has been misinterpreted and distorted through the ages. Jesus spoke not only of love and faith, but also of the hidden power within every human being. His mission was not just to bring salvation, but to reveal the path to spiritual enlightenment, a path few have fully understood. But before unveiling this final teaching, there is a mystery we must address. Jesus often spoke in parables, using symbols and metaphors that seemed puzzling to many. In the Gospel of Mark, his disciples asked why he spoke this way, and he replied, "To you has been given the mystery of the kingdom of God, but to those outside, everything comes in parables." Why didn't Jesus explain his teachings plainly to everyone? The answer is simple. True knowledge cannot be imposed. It can only be discovered by those who earnestly seek it. Those not ready to receive the truth will reject it, ridicule it, or twist it. But those with open minds and hearts will see it clearly. This leads us to Jesus' most powerful statement: "Know the truth, and the truth will set you free." What truth was he referring to? Many have interpreted this as an invitation to follow his teachings. But there is more. Jesus spoke of a deeper truth, the one capable of freeing humanity from suffering, fear, and the illusions of the material world. To understand this, we must look at another striking message. You are God's. This phrase, recorded in the Gospel of John, is one of the most misunderstood in the Bible. Jesus was not telling humans to worship themselves. Rather, he was pointing out that within each of us is a divine spark, a direct connection to the source of all existence. This concept is not exclusive to Christianity. Many ancient spiritual traditions speak of humans as reflections of the divine. In India's Vedanta philosophy, it is taught that Atman, the individual soul, and Brahman, the supreme reality, are one. Hermetic wisdom says, God is mind, and the universe is mental. All these lead to the same conclusion. Divinity is not separate from us, but within us. Jesus left us another clue in one of his most mysterious statements. The kingdom of God will not come with signs to be observed, nor will they say, "Look, here it is," or "There it is." For behold, the kingdom of God is within you. For centuries, many religions have taught that the kingdom of God is a place reached after death, but Jesus said otherwise. The kingdom of God is not a distant destination, but a state of consciousness, accessible here and now. This is one reason why his teachings were seen as dangerous by the authorities of his time. If people realized divinity dwells not in temples or religious institutions, but within themselves, they would no longer depend on intermediaries to connect with God. Even more striking is what the Gospel of Thomas reveals. When you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, then you will enter the kingdom. This statement holds deep, esoteric meaning. Jesus is saying that the key to spiritual awakening is the union of opposites, the integration of body and spirit, material and divine, conscious and unconscious mind. This idea parallels the teachings of medieval alchemists, who sought not just to turn lead into gold, but to undergo an inner process of enlightenment. In Kabbalah, there is the concept of tikkun, the restoration of balance in the soul. Taoism speaks of yin and yang balance as essential for harmony. If Jesus had such profound knowledge, why was he condemned? The answer is clear. His message challenged established beliefs and threatened the control of religious institutions. Jesus taught that divine power belongs not to an elite, but to all human beings. When someone reveals knowledge that can free people from manipulation, they inevitably become a threat to those who want to maintain control. But here's the most important part. Jesus did not leave these teachings only for his disciples of that time, but for all who in the future would be ready to receive them. His message is timeless and still resonates today. Now I ask you, what if we truly understood these teachings? What would change in your life if you knew with absolute certainty that within you lies the key to access the kingdom of God, to connect with the source of all creation? In the final part of this journey, we will reveal the ultimate secret, the most transcendent teaching of Jesus, one that has been distorted and hidden, but when understood, completely transforms how we see the world. If you've made it this far, get ready, because what comes next is the ultimate revelation. We are about to unveil the deepest mystery within Jesus' teachings. Now we have reached the climax of our journey. We have explored how Jesus taught about awakening consciousness, the inner divinity, and the connection with the kingdom of God within every human being. But there remains one final teaching, a knowledge so powerful that it has been concealed, distorted, and hidden throughout history, understood by only a few. Before revealing this secret, we must recall one of Jesus's most enigmatic sayings. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. At first glance, this may seem like a call to sacrifice, but its meaning is far more profound. Jesus was not referring to physical death, but to transcending the ego, letting go of the limited identity that binds us to suffering and the illusion of separation. This is the essence of all advanced spiritual teachings, the death of the false self and the rebirth into our true essence. It echoes the core of Buddhist philosophy, where enlightenment comes through ego transcendence and is reflected in spiritual alchemy, where death symbolizes the transformation of the human being into their purest state. Jesus himself experienced this transformation during his crucifixion. His death and resurrection were not just historical events, but symbols of a process each of us must undergo. The crucifixion represents the dissolution of the illusory self, the release from attachment to the material world, while the resurrection symbolizes the awakening of consciousness, the entry into unity with the divine. But there is something even more remarkable. Jesus didn't only teach this through words, he left clues for those truly willing to understand. In the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus and hidden for centuries, we find a striking statement. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Here lies the final secret. The key to awakening is not outside, but within each of us. It's not about following dogma, seeking external saviors, or waiting for a distant paradise. It's about uncovering the hidden treasure inside, awakening the divine spark that has long been dormant. Why has this teaching been hidden? Because it reveals a dangerous truth to systems of control, that every person holds the power to connect directly with the divine without intermediaries. Jesus didn't come to establish a religion. He came to show a path to liberation. Now I ask you directly, are you ready for this awakening? Because understanding this teaching is not enough. Simply knowing that the kingdom of God is within you changes nothing unless you take the next step. True knowledge is not mere information, it is transformation. Jesus didn't just speak the truth, he lived it, embodying it in every action. And this is the invitation he leaves us, not only to hear, but to experience, not only to believe, but to live the truth. If you truly want to awaken to this reality, start by looking within yourself. Ask, what parts of my life are driven by fear instead of love? Where am I still bound by limiting beliefs? Am I living from my true essence or from an identity shaped by the outside world? And above all, remember these words. You will do even greater things than these. Jesus did not come to show us what he alone could do, but to reveal what we too are capable of when we awaken to our true nature. The final secret is this. The kingdom of God is not a place to reach after death, but a state of consciousness accessible now. There are no barriers between us and the divine, except those we have built ourselves. When we tear down those walls, when we stop searching outward and turn inward, only then do we find the truth that truly sets us free. If this revelation has touched you, if you feel something awakening inside as you hear these words, it is no coincidence that you have come this far. Perhaps this is the sign you were waiting for. Maybe now is the time to begin your own journey of discovery.